Welcome into a conversation today with the head baseball coach here at Xavier University, Billy O'Connor. Sitting over to my right, I'm Paul Fritschner. This is Mike Schmaltz. Billy, we talked to you last year. It's great to catch up with you as the baseball season nears its end. Prasco Park and the Big East tournament right around the corner. You all have qualified for that. So first off, congratulations, and it's great to talk to you again.
Oh, I appreciate that, and I appreciate coming on, and always fun to talk Xavier baseball.
Yeah, so Mike, last year it was Adam Baum sitting to my left, and Adam couldn't be with us today. So you're sitting here, and you and I have called Xavier baseball games now 9 years. We just passed 9 years together, and you've been doing it a long time before that. So it's great to have you with me talking about this team, what it's been like this year, but also catching up with Coach. So what's the first thing that you want to lead this off with?
Well, for me, it's the schedule. So you've always gone out and challenged your teams. You've gone this year. I think this schedule might have been that on steroids a little bit. You hyper ejected yourself into the universe with this schedule. And just talk about that opening stretch. It was 21 days on the road, but there was a lot of quality opponents in there. And it started out with that multiple team event in Arizona.
Yeah, we want to test ourselves every year. We want to test ourselves in every way possible. I say every year that I want to create adversity for our guys through the way that we put our non-conference schedule together. And that adversity is the opponents. That adversity is the environments you play in. That adversity is the travel and the red eyes and the different time zones. And because we want to be as battle tested as possible when we get to this time of year. And I sit here today and I feel like we've been as tested as possible. We've been through everything that we can face: the ups, the downs, the good days, the bad days, the easy travel, the tough travel, the good opponents, the really tough environments to play in. And I feel like we have been tested. And I think that gives you a level of confidence as a coach. And I think it hopefully gives a level of confidence to our players as well, that there's nothing coming our way that we haven't experienced already. It doesn't guarantee wins, doesn't guarantee base hits or strikeouts or whatever it may be, but it does guarantee hopefully that you're prepared for the situations you're going to be thrown into. So yeah, it was a grind. There's no doubt about it. When you look at, I looked at from day one, and sometimes you like to be able to pick out some wins on the schedule, like, we'll probably win that game. There were no guarantees for the first 20 games or so. I didn't think we were going to go 0-20, but there was a chance we were going to go 0-20 for those first 20 games. But obviously, we played pretty well through the non-conference portion, and we've set ourselves up for a good for an at-large chance down the stretch here.
Yeah. So that was Oregon State, number 7 in the country. Not Creighton, but Stanford was ranked at that point. Indiana was ranked at that point. All of those were in that mix early for you.
Yeah. And great opponents, and so much respect for those different coaches. It's fun for me to get to know different people from outside of our region, to see different programs that I have so much respect for, like an Oregon State, like a Stanford, LSU, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, the teams that we played this year, and to learn from them, because that's where we want to be as a program. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're pushing each and every day to get closer to that. But man, if you want to be the best, you got to play against the best. And that's the mantra that we've really had as we put our schedules together year after year.
It's interesting you talk about building the program, because you look at the changes that you have made, over the last few years. I don't remember, were the dugouts there, the new dugouts, was that under you, or was that?
That was Coach Coogan's.
That was Coach Coogan's. Okay. So, but even still, a turf field, you've continually seen improvements to the facilities. There's a new locker room now at the Hype Family Champion Center. It's just the elevation of the program, right? Continually, year after year. And the teams that you play, the teams you're able to schedule, the talent you're able to get out of high school, the transfer portal, whatever it might be. What's the next step for Xavier Baseball? Where do you want to go from here?
Yeah, I think we want to be a perennial at-large team, and the beautiful thing is we look at a team like UConn within our league, and for me, I've been in the Big East now since we moved in. I was on the staff when we started, and I remember coming into the league and seeing Seton Hall and St. John's and Creighton and thinking, man, how are we ever going to be able to compete with these teams? They are so much better than we are. And I feel like we pushed and got, at least on a level playing field with them over the course of the first 3, 4, 5 years we were in the league. And then here comes UConn, and UConn's, they're a different level of consistency and success than what we've been able to experience to this point. And the first couple of years it was like, man, how are we ever going to compete with this team, with the resources they have, with the budget they have, with all the tradition they have. And I think we're pushing closer and closer to get to that point every year. But for us, we want to be a top 25 team. We want to host a regional. We want to go to a super regional. We want to go to Omaha. Those are all things that we talk about within our program on a daily basis. We haven't done it yet, right? So to say, oh man, we're going to go to Omaha this year or next year, you need breaks. You need to catch you need to stay healthy. You need to catch the breaks. You need things to bounce your way. But if you put yourself in the position to have those opportunities for things to bounce your way, and that's how you do it. And I think from a consistency standpoint, that's what we look for. And I think we have been consistent over the past 3, 4, 5 years. we're a top 50 RPI team each and every year. And quite honestly, we're an outlier. There's not many teams that look like Xavier that are in that mix, that top 50 RPI mix. For the most part, it's Power 4 teams, it's state universities, it's teams with bigger budgets and better stadiums and all those things. So for us, we just want to keep pushing forward. We want to reach our potential, we want to hit our ceiling. We are nowhere close as a program to hitting our ceiling, and to me, that's a motivator each and every day. I got to work harder. We've got to work harder within the program to really reach our full potential.
You look at the staff that you've built around you, and I just look at how well you all, at least from the outside, seem to work together. The different roles that you guys have, each as a coach. How much do you appreciate the staff that you have built and what you guys are able to do to coach these young men and to be able to put them in a position to succeed?
Yeah, I'm incredibly fortunate to have the staff that I have, with Doug Willie as our pitching coach and Joey Bellini as our recruiting coordinator and Riley Burcham working with our hitters and our outfielders. I can't stress to you how important continuity is on a staff, and unfortunately early on in my coaching career, we didn't have a ton of continuity, so you feel like you're just kind of spinning your wheels a little bit, right? As soon as you get comfortable, like everybody knows their role, how everybody fits together, well, somebody goes somewhere else, and then there's that training aspect, and then you get to that point again where you feel comfortable, and then somebody goes somewhere else. So to have the continuity that we've had over the course of the past 3 or 4 years, there's no doubt to me that that's a big part of the success that we've been able to experience and the consistency that we've been able to experience as a program too. So those guys are awesome. They're young, they're hungry, they're driven, they work incredibly hard, and they're great people, and that to me is the most important thing. Like showing up to work every day, I love hanging out with those guys, right? They're awesome people, they're funny, they're fun to be around, and like that makes it a fun experience, not just for me as a head coach, but also for our guys to show up to the field every day.
In terms of attracting talent, now the portal is a situation. You've lost a couple guys that way, you've got a couple guys in that way. How's different in your mind, recruiting-wise? Is it still heavy high school, or are you trying to supplement in the portal, or are you trying to do a little bit of both?
Yeah, quite honestly, I don't think we're the top of the food chain when it comes to recruiting, and I think we have to adapt to whatever's coming our way, and it feels like each year the NCAA is coming out with a different set of rules, and the transfer portal is constantly evolving. But I think there's always a niche, and for a place like Xavier, such great academics and such great tradition of success and great resources also. There's always going to be good players for us to have. Now, is it the top of the line portal guy where we got to spend $500,000 in NIL money to get him? Not really within our budget this year, maybe next year. But can we find really good baseball players either at the high school level or through the transfer portal to help us win championships? Yeah, 100% we can. But for us, the most important thing is always going to be evaluating that character, right, and how they fit within our culture. The difference between championship level baseball is not whether a kid throws 90 or 91 or 92. So much of it is the intangible stuff. It's what is their character, what are they made of, how are they going to respond to adversity, what's their work ethic like, what kind of teammate are they? And when you get 35 or 40 guys that are bought into that are truly about our culture and what we're about, man, that's a special group to be at and be a part of. And that's a group that it's tough to defeat, And if you're just relying on the stats, the measurables, you don't know what you're going to get. But we really try to do a good job of evaluating the intangibles just as much as that to put our roster together.
Can you evaluate? You have players from all over the country. Can you evaluate a lot of those in person? Like Isaac Wachsmann's from Colorado. He's one of your best hitters, power threat. How did you come to find him, and how do you go about evaluating somebody that's halfway across the country?
Well, you rely on your network. Hopefully you have a common connection or their coach, and you can go to them and say, hey, what do you got on Isaac or whoever it may be, and somebody that spends every single day with them. And then you really have to build true relationships with them. I think that, to me, is the most important thing. You can't just dip one toe in the water and think that you're going to get to know a kid. You have to really invest yourself in them. And the part that's tough about that is we don't always win on recruiting, right? In fact, we lose a lot. So you build relationships, you invest yourself, you care about these kids and hope that they ultimately come to Xavier. And a lot of times at the end of it, they tell you, I'm going somewhere else, and that hurts, but being able to step up to the line and invest yourself with the next kid you're recruiting, that's the only way you're ultimately going to be successful. And that's the only way you're ultimately going to really get to know who that person is as an individual too. What we do is coaches, I love baseball. I love coaching baseball. I love being on the field. I love teaching the intricacies of bunt defenses and first and third defenses and everything. But my calling is not teaching bunt defenses. My calling is helping these kids grow, and if I don't invest myself on a personal level to really care about them as a human being, we're not going to be very good as a team, and I'm not going to be able to get the most out of them, even as a person person or as a baseball player. So the relationship piece is always going to be so important to what we do in the recruiting process.
How much does NIL play into the non-revenue sports? We hear all about basketball, we hear all about football, but what is Billy O'Connor? What is Big East baseball? What are some of these types of sports and teams, and how does it relate to you and what you're trying to do right now?
It's growing each and every year. Right now, the top of the food chain, the SEC type programs, they're working with realistically multi-million-dollar budgets for their roster on a yearly basis. As you go down, some other Power Fours, they probably have maybe 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. I think within the Big East, I think there's some programs that have a little bit of money to work with, and there's some programs that aren't working with anything at all. So. It's a challenge for sure, and how you manage that money that you do have, how you manage the locker room, knowing some guys are getting some things and some guys are getting no things. It's a challenge, and it's something that's constantly evolving and something that, as a coach, you didn't think about 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, certainly. But it's certainly becoming a factor, and it's not. It's not in the same way that football is. It's not in the same way that basketball is to this point, but it's continuing to grow on a yearly basis, and you have to adapt with the times, and it's something that's important to us that we continue to fundraise to support that.
What concerns you about it? As a baseball coach, you look at the landscape of the future, and I know there's a lot of unknowns, but what concerns you about the future of it?
Well, the biggest concern for me is, trying to spend money on something that you don't really know is a sure thing, and the way that I've approached NIL to this point is I want to reward guys in-house. I want to reward guys that have been here, contributed to Xavier University, that have made an impact on and off the field, and if we can help them in some way, shape, or form, that's pretty meaningful to me, and quite honestly, to hope that they stay at Xavier. For me to ask Mike Schmaltz for $100,000 to go get this left-handed pitcher that I think is going to be pretty good, but actually isn't really good. And Mike sees $100,000 standing down up on the hill, tracking down foul balls. That's a challenge. That's a challenge for me, and it happens, right? And I don't know how I'd be able to look myself in the mirror with telling Mike that's how I spent your $100,000. So to me, it's always going to be about development and retention, right? We want to develop players within our program. We want to retain them once they reach their full potential.
If I had $100,000 to give to somebody, I'd give it to you. I trust you with that judgment.
I appreciate it.
So when you need that.
When you look at, like you talked about in the NIL and how you guys are trying to attract players to Xavier, what are some of the biggest selling points I know you talked about the facilities and all that, but when you're going on a recruiting pitch, right, and especially in the portal where it might be a quick turnaround,
sure.
What are some of the quickest things that you feel like we have?
Part of it is the schedule, right? We're going to play against the best schedule in the country, right? You're going to be thrown into all different kinds of situations. You're going to know where you stand against the best of the best in the country, right? We are not an SEC program. We don't play an SEC schedule that a conference schedule, right? But we play a schedule that's equivalent to any team that plays in the SEC, right? If you look at the bulk of our schedule, our total strength of schedule will be just as good as anybody that's in the SEC. So getting that experience, that's a big thing. Opportunity is a big thing. Relationships a big thing. And resources to reach your full potential. My calling, my job as a coach is to provide the resources that every kid needs to reach their full potential, whether that be nutrition, sports psych, strength conditioning, baseball training, whatever it may be. What we ask the kids to supply is, will you utilize those, right? Because it's not osmosis. It's not going to work just because we've got these beautiful resources here on campus. If you don't utilize them, not going to do you any good. So that's where it goes back to, again, identifying the relationship, knowing who this kid is, knowing how much they want to be great. Because if you want to be great and you've got the resources to do so, eventually you're going to be great. If you got great resources but you got no drive, probably not going to work out.
Yeah.
Some other sports, you get a team like Xavier, basketball per se, they don't want to play Xavier because it doesn't help them out in the schedule. But you've been able to schedule these games. Wright State's a conference champion, pretty much I think 16 in a row. You got Louisville, you got Kentucky, and you've got access to some of these higher profile squads here. But you're always on the schedule with them. How does that work out? Is that the reputation of Xavier that, hey, it's baseball, so there's more games, and one doesn't cost, if you would lose to Xavier, it doesn't really cost you that much down the road because you've got a chance to win your conference every year? Yeah,
we're super fortunate to be where we're at in Cincinnati and have access to so many high-level baseball teams, at different levels too, right? You talk about SEC in Kentucky and ACC in Louisville and Horizon League, Wright State, a program that's really, really good and wins a bunch of games. So we're fortunate. There's teams that have to drive 3, 4, 5 hours to find any single opponent. We can find 10, 12, 15 D1 opponents within 2.5 hours of where we are. So, yeah, I think it is a different mindset in baseball than it is in basketball, where, you lose a game and it feels like it can really kill your resume. Over the course of 56, you're going to win some games, you're going to lose some games, So there's not as many teams that I think fear playing against good competition. There's some that seek out good competition like we do, and there's some that shy away from it. But especially in the area, we're all pretty good with each other and, enjoy playing against each other in those midweek games.
What do you think now that we're at this point in the season? Prasco Park is right around the corner, right? And that's part of the reason that we're sitting here today is to talk about that. And you guys will be playing yet again for a Big East title at Prasco Park here soon. So just talk to us about what makes that tournament special. The facilities there, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people watching this are familiar with it, but maybe some aren't. Just why that tournament is so special, but also why the Big East playing there just means a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one-of-a-kind of experience, and I can sit here and talk about it, and you can sit here and talk about it, but until you go out there and truly experience the environment of what Prasco is about, it won't make sense to you, So go out there, check it out, go to the tournament. It's unbelievable. I'm sure you'll get free food, free everything. Yeah. But the environment that they create for our guys is incredible, because we bounced around in the Big East the first 4 or 5 years that we were in the conference, from Brooklyn to Aberdeen, Maryland, to Omaha, to out to Prasco. And, quite honestly, there's not going to be 5,000 people in the stands if we're in Aberdeen, Maryland, right? There's some friends and family, maybe some local people. Prasco provides an environment where there's 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people in the stands for every single game that these kids get to play in. And that's what you dream of as a player, right? You want to play in the big environments. And that's something that I think our guys are drawn to. That's why they come to Xavier. That's why we play the schedule we do. And I think they play their best baseball in those environments. So the way that the student athletes are treated out there, the way that the teams are treated, the way that the fans are treated, it is as first class gets. Free concessions and free gifts and free everything to create more bouncy houses that you could ever see. Free ice cream. I put on about 15 pounds every year when we go out there. But it's an incredible experience for our student athletes to take part in that. It's an incredible student experience for our friends, our family, and the people of Cincinnati and the people of Mason to go out there and take part in it. So we're super, super lucky to be partnered with Prasco. It's been an incredible run to this point, and we're so excited to continue there moving forward.
All right, now the team this year. Catch us up on the season. For anybody that's watching this that might say, all right, they're going to play in the tournament, catch us up on Xavier Baseball 2025.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride. Like we talked about with the schedule we put together early from a non-conference standpoint, there were certainly some challenges in there, and we rose to the occasion in quite a few of them. I was pretty happy with how we played through the first 20-ish games or so. We were right around 500, which nobody says, hey, let's go 500. But when you're playing the number one strength of schedule in the country, 500 is pretty good. And then we hit a stretch. We hit it, oh boy. So we went Tennessee, defending national champion, 3 games with Vanderbilt, recent national champion, I think 2019, game with LSU, 2023 national champion. So a lot of national champions we were playing there, and things didn't go very well. And so we were playing the best part of our schedule, and we were playing the worst part of our baseball all year. And man, those things lined up pretty well to be a pretty bad experience. But quite honestly, I think we learned a lot about ourselves. That was our spring break trip. We were on the road for 12 days as a group. You come together, you can't get away from each other, right? You learn to either love each other or hate each other, somewhere in between. And we're scuffling as a team, and I think we made some adjustments when we went down to Tulane and finished up that spring break trip. We saw some different competitiveness. We moved some guys around in the rotation, moved some guys around in the lineup, where I got back from that trip, and I remember telling the guys at practice, I don't think we're going to lose again all year. Now we have, but man, we've been pretty good since that point, and we've been playing good baseball through conference. We've been playing good baseball through our midweek games. Some big wins, 2-0 against Cincinnati this year, 1 on the road at Kentucky. So we're in a good spot, and we're coming down the home stretch here, and we're sitting on the bubble for an at-large berth, which, again, we were on the bubble, on the wrong side of the bubble last year, and that's tough. It's a tough room to be in. I've been through a lot of losses as a coach, and you generally figure out the right thing to say, and that was an experience where I don't know what the right thing to say was, to see your season come to an end by hoping your name pops up on that screen and not seeing it happen. That's the toughest room I think I've ever been a part of. But again, we're fortunate to be there, right? Before last year, I don't think we had ever realistically been on the bubble of an at-large team in the history of the program, and now here we are again. we've got some games ahead of us that, I think if we take care of business, I think we're going to be on the right side of the bubble this year, and love this group. It's an unbelievable competitive group. We've been pretty awesome at home. I think we went 15-3 at home this year. It's a group that never quits, and that's something we talk about all the time is just keep playing, big lead early, just keep playing, big deficit early, just keep playing. Something good happens, just keep playing. Something bad happens, just keep playing, and I think that kind of competitive and tough mindset, man, it leads to a lot of success, and we've got some unbelievable kids on this program that really exemplify what we want our program to look like. So it's a fun group to watch. I think we play the game aggressively on the mound, at the plate, running the bases. It's a fun group to be around on a daily basis. Great kids.
Your core, you honored your seniors this past weekend after your last home game here. You seem to have the ability to keep a team together, like keep a class together that they go through each of the 4 years, and not a lot of departures. Sometimes that happens. How do you come about doing that?
I think it goes back to the culture piece. Xavier's different. Xavier's different than a lot of the schools we recruit against. And that's no disrespect to anybody, but I think it's different. And we don't always get yeses through the recruiting process, right? But when somebody really dives down deep into what is this experience about, what is the relationship, what are the resources, what is the experience of being a Xavier baseball player, and they ultimately say yes, I think they say yes for the right reasons, and I think that they are bought in on a level that maybe might be different than, where other people might buy in. So, we don't deadline people. We don't rush people into these recruiting decisions. We let them make the decision that they want to be here, right? And when they want to be here, when you get 35 or 40 guys in the room that all want to be here for the right reason, I think that's a special thing to be a part of. But, I think when guys get here, I think it's a great experience. That's my hope and my job as a coach, to provide these kids an unbelievable experience for their 4 years on campus. And, you hope that the bonds that they form, the relationships they build, it does allow them to stay here and finish this thing out.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed seeing over the last few years has just been the growth of the sport of college baseball in general. And I mean, you and I have seen it over the years of doing games together where the crowds continually get bigger here at Xavier. I think fans are becoming more invested in the program. Saturdays, Sundays especially. Nice afternoons here at Hayden. I have said for years there's no better view of campus than going down to Hayden Field and looking up, on a blue sky sunny day. But college baseball as a whole, from a national perspective, I think has really blown up in the last 4 or 5 seasons. Have you seen that from your perspective and just the way that the sport is being covered now?
Oh, 100%. You can turn on ESPN Plus or any channel and find college baseball on every single night, and that to me is a beautiful thing. I think it's a great product. I love baseball. I love professional baseball. I love Little League baseball. I love college. I love high school. I love everything. But, a lot of times when you get to the big leagues, there's not the sense of urgency. There's not quite the full-on competitiveness, like run through a wall, whatever it takes to find a way to get this win. And when you're playing 162 games, it's tough to go through each day with that mindset. In college, it is. Every game is life or death, it feels like, and it's not. It's baseball. It doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of life. But, the way that the college baseball players go about things, it's an entertaining product for sure. And like you said, it continues to grow. It continues to get more exposure. And I think more and more people are seeing what a great product it is. And I think more and more people are being drawn to watching it both in person and on TV.
Talk about mindset. It's a great segue. This is my big question for the day. On game day, what is going through your mind? Because you're an approachable guy, you're smiling, you're relatable. On game day, you have an intensity that you sit there, and I'm honestly afraid to ask you questions sometimes because I don't just want to let you do your job. But what is going through your mind while you're sitting in the dugout? Are you playing the game mentally? Are you, hey, we're gonna try this? And what's going through your mind on a game day?
High level stress.
Yeah.
Just wanting and striving and hoping and praying that you've prepared your players for anything that could be coming their way. I wish I could still be playing, right? If I was 6'5", maybe I still would be playing. But that was the biggest adjustment for me moving from the playing side to the coaching side, is just how helpless you feel sometimes, right? Is when I was playing as a catcher, it's like, okay, something needs to be done. I'm going to get it done. Somebody needs to bunt down. I'm going to get the bunt down. Somebody needs to block a pitch in the dirt. I will do it. You can't do it as a coach, right? So it comes to, you have to prepare your guys in practice and in the scouting reports to make sure that they are as ready as possible, and then trust them. That's the biggest thing, is that over the course of my career is just knowing that you got to go trust your guys to they're ready to go, right? We've prepared them. We've given them the information they need. We've given them the training, the resources they need. And now it's time for them to go do it, and having the guys, having the right people in the program that you trust in those spots, it gives you a level of confidence as a coach you feel really good about. So yeah, just trying to be as prepared as possible for anything that's coming your way.
Now, I don't want you to sell yourself short because I know what Mike's follow-up is here. There is one thing you can control, but it's a little out of your control now, and that's the field.
Yeah.
It looks good with the turf, but I'll tell you what, there was nothing like a day at Hayden Field late in like the spring of 2016, call it 2018, right after you take over. And there's Billy out there. Maybe it's in between games of a doubleheader, or it's after a game. Maybe it's after a loss, and you're in that batter's box. It's a 10 out of 10, and it's going to be a 15 out of 10 before you leave.
So pregame, that's because I have so much nervous energy that I have to do something, right? I still go out and I'll grab the rake and move the pellets of rubber around, so I still have to get some nervous energy out. Post game, it's like a centering activity, right? Whether you win, not too high, not too low. Every coach says that, right? But kind of get you back to the level, right? And for me, when we lost the game and making sure that plate was looking perfect at the end of the day, it's like, okay, now I can go here and I'll be okay.
Do you have a little home plate patch of dirt like at your house that you work on? Maybe a garden or something?
That'd be a great idea. Okay. I'm not a gardener. Maybe
just a pice of dirt you can rake.
I like that idea. I can maybe get a chalker out, put the batter's box. I like symmetry and straight lines. And I like that. It's a good idea.
Mike, anything else here before we wrap up?
No.
All right. Coach, anything else that we haven't talked about here today?
No, just so appreciative you guys having me on today.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck at Prasco, and hopefully we see you in the NCAA tournament, whether it's because of a Big East championship or an at-large bid. Hopefully you're playing into the month of June. Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
What makes us human? Humanity is found in the actions that redefine care, actions that we at TriHealth take every day. By seeing those who feel invisible, hearing needs that have been ignored, TriHealth is healing the body and the human spirit, so all can know and live a better life.
Welcome back. Paul Fritschner alongside Mike Schmaltz. Thanks again to head coach Billy O'Connor for taking a few minutes today to chat with us. And now we are joined by Isaac Wachsmann and Luke Hammond. Fellas, thanks for taking some time today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I'm going to, just like Billy, I'm going to let you lead this one off.
We talked a lot with Coach about attracted talent, so you guys are a good pairing to have here. Luke, you're from Indian Hill here in Cincinnati. Isaac, you're from Colorado.
Yep.
Just tell us, from a Colorado standpoint, how did you end up migrating here to Xavier?
Yeah, for sure. Billy saw me play at Futures games, so it's like a big kind of showcase in Georgia. So he saw me there and reached out, and he had recruited some kids from my high school before, so he had a good connection with my high school coach. But he offered me a preferred walk-on, actually. So I came in as a walk-on and earned my way on scholarship, which is pretty cool.
You came in as a preferred walk-on?
I did, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, hand up. I didn't know that. Yeah. So how did you, what was the process to work your way up outside of obviously just playing well, but like to get to where you are now as one of the best players on this team?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that I had the talent, but obviously, I don't know, it was hard coming from Colorado during COVID and stuff, so took a chance on myself and thought that it'd work out, and I've obviously performed, so he rewarded me because of that. But yeah, it's been a pretty cool ride.
Pretty quick one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, you were the number one player in the state in your senior class. At least that's what the bio reads, right?
Yeah.
You're probably a little bit higher than that. I think maybe the 5-state region. You're probably the best guy. What attracted you to Xavier? I'm sure you had options elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Arizona State out of the portal. I actually, like straight out of high school, I never talked to Xavier. I didn't even know where Xavier was or anything. And hate to admit it, but I was a UC fan. So like I knew nothing about Xavier. And then I went in the portal, and Billy was the only coach who emailed me. Everyone else like messaged me on Twitter. I was like, that's interesting. But anyways, he just reached out to me, and same thing as Isaac, preferred walk-on. And I was like, take a chance on myself, and brought me here, and it's been great.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting, you know, when you talk to players outside, because it's everybody that watches this knows the amount of time and effort and energy that we spend talking to players from all these different sports, and the focus that I've had over the last few months with basketball, especially at this past year's team, and getting players out of the portal, right, and putting together a squad. But to do that with baseball with so many more players and guys able to compete pretty quickly, I'm just wondering how you guys are able to mesh with a bigger team. Like Isaac, we'll start with you. Like, what is it like when you get these new faces onto a team and you're playing in the Big East together and you got to mesh with a bunch of new faces out of the portal?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think this year we had like almost 20 new guys, if not over 20 new guys. So, I mean, obviously it's hard not knowing these guys, but I think that we had a great culture that was set here before I got here of kind of inviting everybody in and making sure they felt part of something that was like bigger than themselves. So I think just us continuing to do that for the younger guys and just taking time out of your day, like make sure you ask them how they're doing, classes, like just trying to relate to the guys that are coming in so they feel like they're a part of it is really big, and I think it just builds the culture all together.
Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, it takes two to tango. And I think that Billy does a great job of bringing guys who are willing to buy into the culture versus selfish people who aren't willing to work for that bigger picture, like Prasco in the Big East tournament that we care so much about because of the culture before us. So I think Billy is really humble about it, but I think he does a really good job bringing in people who will buy into that culture.
What is Billy O'Connor as a head coach? Who is Billy O'Connor?
I'll let you go first.
Don't worry, he's not watching this.
He's a great recruiter. Me and Jared Cushing used to joke. We used to call him Magnus because like he always moves us around like chess pieces. And I don't know. I just think he's really smart. He knows the game a lot. He's really passionate about it, and I think that's one of the things that makes him a great coach is his knowledge and his passion. I mean, you guys see it. He's intense.
Yeah.
Like, he cares a lot.
Yeah.
And knowing that he cares a lot definitely pushes us to be our best version of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say he's a competitor. Like, I know he obviously said that he can't always be out there, but, like, I think that he wants to win so bad that he's willing to do more than the other coaches. I know especially in recruiting, like, the way he relates with recruits and makes you feel part of something is really special, and I think he goes above and beyond as a coach here and as a recruiter to make sure that our program's in a good position to win every year.
Culture, you mentioned. What are some of the other elements about this program that you enjoy being around and just competing in?
Yeah, I mean, obviously our schedules, it's a lot of fun. We get to be on the road a lot, miss a lot of school. So I don't know if the grades like that much this year. But, yeah, I mean, our schedule's awesome. Our other staff is awesome. Like Coach Jennings is awesome with the strength side and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's just a lot of people that are here to help us become the best versions of ourselves, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to add on to that. I think he pretty much covered it all. Obviously, Prasco's sweet, too, once we get in the tournament. So, looking forward to that.
We can just jump right into that since Prasco's, like we said, right around the corner. You guys have both experienced Prasco Park. You both know what it means to play there. And I think not just play there in the Big East tournament, but you guys make a concerted effort to go play up there during the regular season as well. You played up there in the Nuxall Classic this year. What is that park? Why is it so special? And what's fun about it for you guys as a player? I mean, we know from our perspective broadcasting the games, we know the fans and the free and everything. What's it like as a player?
Yeah, I mean, Prasco's great. Just the environment of everything. Like, not to say that Hayden isn't great. Like, we have great facilities. Our field is great. But we don't get 5,000 fans to home games. But at Prasco, I mean, whenever we play in the Big East tournament, it's always Xavier fans. So it's just like Isaac said earlier, a lot of these times we're going into other places like LSU where there's 10,000 fans cheering against us. Mm-hmm. And then we get to Prasco and they're actually cheering for us. It's like, wow, this is new. So that's definitely a great element of that. And I mean, it's just crazy. It means a lot to us that people come out and support us, and just looking forward to it again.
Yeah, I mean, they just take such good care of us. It's unbelievable. I didn't think it was real when I went the first time my freshman year. It's like, there's no way somebody would like do this for us. But I mean, it's an amazing experience, and obviously we play great competition there. So it's always close games and intense games, which makes it fun. So we're super grateful for them.
Talk about the conditions there. The grass there is absolutely immaculate. So how does that stand up to like an SEC school? I mean, is it better than some of these places around the country that
I'm taking it. I'm taking it over a lot of places we've played, to be honest. I mean, I don't want to throw shade at anywhere we played that was grass, but there were some places we played this year that were supposed to be pretty good that I didn't think were anywhere near as good as Prasco. So
yeah, being an infielder, that's great dirt too. Like LSU, like terrible dirt, I thought, in my opinion. Like, not to complain, but they had like patches in it. Balls were bouncing everywhere. But Prasco's great. They keep great care of it. best place to play as an infielder.
What attracted you guys and what has kept you guys at Xavier? You talked, I guess, already about why you came here, but as far as, the culture and everything, outside of that, what do you love about maybe being here in Cincinnati, the school? What is it about wearing the X that makes you feel like, okay, I'm excited, to come back here year after year and put on a Xavier jersey, play for Billy O'Connor, and be a part of this program, Isaac?
I'll start. I also love the school, and I love everything about being in Cincinnati. I think it's a great town. Kind of reminds me a little bit of being home. There's stuff all around, and then we're not far from downtown with other activities and stuff. And then obviously I've really enjoyed the school. I kind of like the small school environment more than being at a massive school because it's nice. I can walk and go to the basketball game or walk around campus, and I know all my teachers personally, so that's super nice as well.
Yeah, for me, just the group of guys that we have is really important. Like you were mentioning earlier with Billy about the core group of seniors and just those guys wanting to come back. And we all want to achieve something great, like Prasco, but beyond that, regional, super regional, Omaha. And I think just buying into that idea that we can get there is really important to retain guys and stuff like that. But I think Billy is also great at retaining people and getting people here to start with.
So you play at Xavier, and then eventually, hopefully, you graduate from Xavier, and then all of a sudden you're an alumni. The Xavier baseball program has a very tight-knit group of alumni and a lot of very dedicated, I guess they're fans now, but players that have come through this program and still follow the program, more so than a lot of other programs that I cover where, obviously players that have played, they still care. But, the DMs, the texts, the people that reach out to us while we're calling games or that come up to us and just passionately still care about the program. Do you guys get to interact with them? Are they around? I don't necessarily mean you got to call them out by name, but I know there are a lot of alumni that still strongly care about the program and that are probably watching this right now.
You want to go?
Yeah, I always see alumni that played a while ago, and I know their face and stuff, but I still get texts every game from guys that graduated last year and the year before that I played with, and obviously I lived with a couple guys that graduated last year, so we're still super tight. So I'm getting texts after every game. They want to know everything about the team. So, yeah, they care a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Seeing those guys around is always good. But what I've noticed this year is that social media has picked up a lot. I don't know who it is, but the burners, they're doing a great job, whoever they are. I love those guys. Capicola, that guy's great.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. You look at all these guys that I think we were talking about it with Billy a few minutes ago where the popularity of college baseball has really taken off. And I think you're starting to see that here at Xavier over the last couple of seasons where you look at the amount of people that watch the games or that listen to the games that, we see, oh my goodness, it's, however many people at the end of a stream that we see, that many people watch the game. And it's because, well, one, you guys are good.
Yeah.
That helps. Winning cures all. Winning helps.
It does.
Winning at home is even better.
Winning at home is even better. But two, the alumni buy-in or the fan engagement buy-in, it's got to be a lot of fun for you guys as a player to go out and see that.
No, it's really cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this year I've noticed it a lot more, and I think it might be because of the burner accounts. And they come to the games too, Phil the Hill, they're up there. They're hollering. I love it.
Yeah.
And we're bringing in more people, I think, and I think it's great for the sport, and I think it's great for us too.
Yeah.
I was able to talk to a couple of those guys over the weekend in between games on Sunday, and they've got ideas for alternate logos. They've got ideas for bringing more people to Hayden Field. So that's got to feel good that you guys have that support behind you.
Yeah, I say let them pitch those logos. Let's go.
I just wanted to, if Connor Bailey sees this, he was a graduate last year. I saw him post a Skyline Chili jersey alternate. I was not a fan.
Not a fan?
Not a fan?
I saw that. I saw Connor post that. Yeah.
Out of town boy doesn't get it.
Yeah. All right. A couple more questions from me. Mike, anything on your end?
Okay.
I would say, one thing I want to ask you about is this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
How this season has gone for each one of you individually, and then just as a team where you guys feel like you are right now heading into the Big East tournament.
Yeah, you want to start him?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, tough ride for me. I'm getting old. Broken bone, sprained hamstring. But just coming back and being around with the guys, they all make me want to come back that much more. Just the culture we have just makes me really push myself to get back. and I'm excited to come back, and I'm just really excited to push forward with this group. Like, there's a lot to be excited about going forward. Like, we're in a good stride right now. I know Billy said we were going to go undefeated or whatever after that Tulane series. It didn't happen like he said, but we could do it. We could go 6-0 here and hopefully pushing strong to the Big East tournament.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it's been a little bit of a tough year, especially at the start. I came with a lot of expectations, like from myself and from external stuff, and obviously it was really tough to not feel like I was living up to those expectations, especially early. But I think just being around this group of guys and the coaches we have and everybody still believing in me has been really, really important to me. And I think it's really helped me get through that stretch as it's getting hotter outside. I've been swinging it better. So,
well, you make a good point, Isaac, because it's something that we've talked a lot about on the broadcasts where, you look at your average back in March and it very clearly was not where you wanted it to be, right? And it feels like every time you got a hit here into April and then now into May, it's me saying on a broadcast, or it's Mike saying on a broadcast, his average starting to creep up, right? Or you're starting to hit for more power, whatever it might be, that you can see that things are starting to progress in the right direction at the right time.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And this one, it matters when you're playing good. So it's been nice. But I mean, I started 5 for 70, so it was quite the hill to climb, because that's about as bad as it gets. But I mean, I think I learned a lot, and I mean, like, I'm obviously going to need that failure when it comes down in my career later. So I think that having that already happen to me is going to be really beneficial.
You're just trying to fill the batting average hill.
Right.
That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do.
Fill the hill, baby.
Yeah.
How did you keep your mindset when you were kind of in those? You were hitting 73. I'll say it.
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
But now you're up to what, 215 at this point. But how did you keep your mindset engaged at that point? What were you thinking and trying to fight through?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. I prayed a lot, talked to my family and obviously my teammates and stuff. And I think that just trying to come to the field every day and be the best teammate I could and just do anything I could to help us win, whether that be, maybe a sac fly, maybe a ground out with a guy on third and less than 2 outs. Like, just trying to find ways to help us win, even though I'm not going my best I think that's how I kind of climbed out of it.
A fifth third better means we give 166.7%.
Who's a good boy, Parson?
I am good boy.
That's right. And why?
Because I bank a fifth third better.
Wait, what?
5 thirds equals 166.7%, so they put 166.7% into everything they do.
Okay, what is happening?
I'll tell you what's happening. Free checking, no hidden fees, and identity theft protection. Now, let's get rid of cat, please.
What?
This is banking a fifth third better.
Okay, Isaac. You're not from Cincinnati. You already said you didn't like the Skyline thing. That's fine. They are a huge sponsor of this show, so you pissed them off. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But if you do want to sponsor it, I will. But favorite thing about the city of Cincinnati?
Gosh, I don't know. I like that there's no traffic, to be honest.
Okay. That's a good one.
We were going down to
Where are you driving?
I mean, I've had to go down to Newport. Like, when we go down to like Newport for like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, like, no traffic. You get across the city, like downtown, in 10 minutes. I'm like, dang, this is nice.
You know what's funny? So I'm from D.C. originally, Northern Virginia, where traffic is just a nightmare, right? It's the worst traffic in the country. I got here freshman year. I will never forget this. My roommate was from Illinois, okay? My roommate, this was freshman or sophomore year, but it was freshman year. He gets in the car, and we're driving from Xavier downtown. That's like a 2-mile drive, right? And there's a slowdown on 71. Fellas, we're going like 20 instead of 50, right? Instead of full speed, 60, whatever. And he's, slamming the steering wheel. And he's from rural in Illinois. And he's, slamming the steering wheel, flipping out. I'm going, what's wrong, dude? He goes, all this traffic. I go, bro, I would pay for this back home. Yeah. I would pay for this traffic back home.
No, it seems like a dumb answer, but I mean, like, I don't know. Yesterday I had to go get something from Target in Newport, and I was like, dang, this is so nice. So I just appreciate it now.
All right. So, Luke, you probably have a little different perspective here. What's your favorite thing about being here?
That was a great point, though. Like, that was good. But Skyline, sponsor the show.
Right. Like that.
No, I just love everything about Cincinnati. I'm from here, grew up here. It's just a great place, great environment. People are great. No traffic.
No traffic.
Sometimes.
Perfect. All right. Mike, anything else?
No, we're good.
All right. Well, Luke, Isaac, first off, thanks for coming on today. And second, best of luck here as you get into the postseason. I know it's stressful, but it's a fun kind of stress. And we wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Look forward
Thank
to
you for
seeing
having us.
Nebraska.
Thanks, guys.
It's been a blast.
Yep.